Alright, so this is a faster way if the switch is in good condition, because I've already rebuilt this one and everything's been redone on it, and it has a great snap. And essentially what you're looking for is to make sure the copper contact is still making contact with your run contacts, even if you lift the steel switch. So, alright, here's the quick and easy way to do this. Let me see the driver. I'm going to take both of these off. Now we're pretending this is a switch that has not been addressed. So pull that screw out. Okay. Then we're going to take the other contact side out. Now this side is threaded into the plate. But now we've got one screw out. What we want to do is slip this assembly over the stop. Bring it all the way back around like that. And the quick and dirty way is to essentially, and you're just going to want to clean up your copper contacts like that. And you're going to just slightly bend them down like that. And when you go to bend this one, you don't bend it at this end or the tip's going to stick up. So what you do is you put a little bit of curvature in here. So kind of put those back together after you've done the bending. Bring them back around, slip them both over that stop. That's a great amount of tension. Now, if you need to go one step further, you take your screw out of the plate side. And same thing here. Go ahead and turn this around. And since this side has never had the pressure of this side, you will get a little bit more tension if you'll bring the brass side over here and put your screw back in. So I'm going to do that, even though I have to undo all this. I'm just helping you out here. Alright, so and once you tighten this, it's going to add a little bit more tension. So before you do any bending, you want to just check real quick. But you have to swing around from the other side, since there's no screw here now. Slip over the stop. Alright, say if you want a little more tension, bring it back around. And take that, bend it. And make sure when it comes back, you test it, make sure it's got a snap, but also on each speed, you can actually slip this back over and examine the copper. And it's touching each of the three pads with quite a bit of tension. So with the steel plate, it's even more tension. So slip that back around. And once you've done that and you've gotten the tension you want, and you make sure you've got 0 ohms from your knife to each one of your contacts right here, you just go ahead and slip it back around, put the switch back together like it's supposed to be, and that's pretty much how you do it. So I'm going to do it in reverse just so you see it one more time. So I'm going to take the screw out of the swing plate or the conductor plate. I'm going to swing that back around because you can already see I've swung this one before when I was doing the rebuild. So always line up your hole here. So we go to put your screw in, you won't have too much trouble. Tighten that. And when I was talking about bending these tabs down, right here there's these steel tabs, but this is only on the ones made after 1929 or so. But you can bend these slightly down, not much, but it'll give you a little more pressure on the back of the plate. Now if you notice this plate is bent too far down that way, you can heat it up with a heat gun and use this to pull it back up while it's hot and hold it there till it cools off, and that'll give you an extra bit of tension. So I'm perfectly happy with the way this one works. If anything, I'm going to adjust this down just a hair. It's a little too far. So let's see, what do I need? I need to bring that down. Alright. Bend the assembly here. And don't bend against the phenolic because this stuff will that will snap off on you. And when that happens, you're going to be making steel plates to hold all this crap back on, and I've actually done that. I just don't have pictures of the switch I did it with. And that's perfect for one of these. You're not going to get it much tighter. The hard phenolic and the porcelain, you can make these things snap like crazy, but these fiberboard ones, there's just a maximum amount of tension that can be put at the center here because there's no support going across. It's just the fiberboard holding it tense. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and put my switch back together for the video for you. Need to use that washer. So on this side, you only need one washer, and then your nut, which will lock down your wire. So you put your wire between the washer and the plate, and then on this side, which is essentially just the direct wire to your motor, and screw goes through there. And go ahead and make you an eye loop on this side. So once it's all put together, there's no chance of it shorting out against anything. And this side, you put your washer and the small nut. You'll have to get a screwdriver on one side and the nut driver on the other. Alright, it's nice and tight, and I'm going to turn the screw to get my contact within the switch plane. It just helps later on. Hold the screw, crank down on it really good, but make sure you have washers on both sides or it will crack the fiber plate. But you can see it's nice and even snappier. The last thing to look for is make sure your knife switch is not close to your coil, because if it is, it'll rub a hole in it. If you run into that, you can put washers between the choke stack and the metal plate here. So, perfectly happy with that. And on this side, you put a base washer, then you would put your wire, and then you'd put another washer to make a sandwich, and then your terminal nut. And boom, everything is back the way it should be. And like with the top connection, I super glued that, taped over the choke coil one more time. But then for an extra added measure, I brought it down under the zip tie and then zip tied the wire from the high contact, and also zip tied the wire for the common on the motor. So there you go. That's a quick and dirty way to do it in a very long, unnecessarily long video, but hopefully you learned something from that. One more thing you might notice, if you slip this back over, and you can't go far with the bolts into place, but if you see a lot of play right here, you can get this out of the way and take a tack hammer and put this over a hard surface. Let's just call that a hard surface, and hit that rivet down, and then use a pair of pliers to turn the rivet, tap it down again, and that'll give you just a little more pressure. This one's reached the maximum amount of safe pressure that it can take. So that's the quick, easy way to fix one of these. Usually I like tearing them completely down and rebuilding them from scratch, drilling out the rivets, drilling for 632 screws and nuts, and that way if I have to, I can make an even longer metal plate to sandwich here to go back to the back. But that's got perfect snap. But this is a pedestal switch, so the choke is actually located about 6 inches away, so that's what this wire bundle's for, but it essentially operates the same way. I could move this around and pop a choke on here and it would work. These are identical switch plates essentially. So hope that helps. I'm going to upload this to YouTube for anybody that wants to watch.